Welcome to Pickup Game. I'm really excited about today's show. But prior to starting the show, what we always do is we make sure we say thank you. And thank you to the first responders and the essential workers, the people that are on the front line, that are basically selfless, the greatest teammates of all, basically going to work each and every day, risking their lives for someone else. And if they can do that, obviously we can do that. I say it all the time. We need to have greater discipline. We need to put on our masks. We need to practice social distancing. We need to make good decisions. I mean, here you've got people that are going to work every day trying to make a difference in someone else's life by risking their lives. The least we can do is put on a mask, practice social distancing, and basically understand that we can be comfortable being uncomfortable. And then finally, just in society in general, Black Lives Matter. We've got to have greater humanity, compassion, and caring for each other. And we've got to eliminate stereotypes, whether they're racial, whether they're religious, whether they're professional. There are good and bad in every walk of life, but we've got to be better at really talking to each other, listening and hearing and respecting each other. Our society needs to be better. And I really believe, and Tom Izzo said this a while ago, and I've been repeating it a lot, we need to be more like our locker rooms. Because one thing about our locker rooms, there's great respect and there's great trust and there's great camaraderie. And really, it's everyone is essentially pulling in the same direction. So with that said, I'd like to welcome in this week's panel. And I'm really excited about this because I think we've got three people that are tremendous leaders and have great voices. And, I say this all the time. This is a solution-based conversation. I think everyone talks about having uncomfortable conversations, but we also got to have solution-based conversations. And Greg Robinson, the new executive director of the NABC, two-time Ivy Player of the Year, by the way.
Ooh, I'm surprised you remember that.
I remember that. Anyone who played for Coach Carrill, I'm big on. Obviously, the head coach at Oregon State and Brown, and just doing a great job. And Craig, I'm really excited that you're part of this, and I'm excited that you're the new executive director for a couple of reasons. I've always felt that we've had a seat at the table that makes decisions in college athletics. Unfortunately, we haven't had a voice. And now we have a voice. And that's really, really important if we're going to really be part of the solution. And then Jamie Dixon, head coach at TCU, back to his alma mater, doing a great job at TCU. And he is the president of the NABC. And then Chris Beard, who not only went to the Final Four in the championship game at Texas Tech, but I got to think not a lot of things, Coach Beard, were bigger than winning a championship with the South Carolina Warriors.
No one could ever take that away.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. So I appreciate you guys being here. I guess the first thing is just the last 5 months. You talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. What has the last 5 months been to you guys? And Jamie, let's just start with you.
It's been unique. I mean, in some ways, it's been hard. It's been challenging. It's been, but in some ways, I've spent more time with my family too. I've seen my kids, and so that's been a positive of it. But certainly now it seems like we're getting closer, or at least our players are back, and we're spending more time with our guys. I think the one thing I realized is really how much time you spend with your players once they were gone. I mean, I'm talking just whether it be seeing them in the locker room coming out, or up in the offices, or after practice as well as during practice. You just miss that interaction, and that was really a challenge not having it. So we had to adjust, but now I feel like we're kind of back to what we normally do here this week for us, because we started school and we've got workouts going, as you can see in the background here. So we're in our 4 hours a week, and we can get back to a little bit of normalcy. Obviously, a lot of questions still persist going forward here, but I feel like I'm doing what we always love to do, Coach.
Beard is basically videoing this, and he's basically putting together a scouting report on you guys.
I don't know what we're doing out there, so we can figure it out.
How many big guys do you have, man? I'm getting nervous here.
Chris, what's it been like for you? I mean, you've been in Lubbock. Your guys have been around some. I mean, 5 months. You are addicted to the game and the process. What's this been like for you?
Yeah, it's been tough. Echoing some of the things Jamie said, like the biggest thing is you just kind of realize how much you love this game, and you miss all the little things, the interaction in the locker room, the tough practice, the team function. So we just weren't around our players a lot, especially during the complete shutdown. You know, we had locks on our doors here in Lubbock. Even though some of our players never left town, we just weren't able to see them. So that was tough. But I do think on the backside of this, you know, there's going to be a greater appreciation for the game that we all love. So I just echo a lot of things Jamie just said. Couldn't agree more. It is starting to feel a little bit normal. You know, the guys are back on campus. We start school here next week. So we're just hoping and optimistic that we'll be back on the court, you know, competing soon.
Craig, you got a new job. I forgot to mention the time with the Knicks. So, I mean, my Knicks actually, just to kind of help you, I've got my Knick cup right there.
Love it.
But, you know, new role, kind
Right.
of new world for you. You've done so many different things. But what has it been like to move over? You know, some people say you go from assistant coach to head coach, you move over, and it's a different world and a different prism you're looking at things through. What's the prism you're looking at things through now?
You know, it's really been interesting, Seth, and thanks for having me on. It's great to see all of you guys. I get to see Jamie a little bit more because he's our president. But you know, the scope that I have now is I'm back looking at the game as a coach, but not coaching a team. I really, you said it at the outset. You know, we have the opportunity as the NABC to have a seat at the table and have some meaningful discussions about our game, about the environment of college basketball, the environment of basketball in general. So I'm getting an opportunity to sort of sit back at the sort of 30,000 feet level and try and figure out some solutions. So, you know, the biggest thing I've been doing at the outset here is listening. You know, I've been listening to our membership, our coaches. I've been listening to some players as well. And I've been listening to the folks at the NCAA. You know, a big part of this job is going to be having authentic, meaningful relationships with those folks over there. So I've been locked down, haven't been to my new office yet because of the COVID situation, but certainly been on enough Zooms and interviews to figure out start to figure out where we need to go and what we want to be doing.
You know, you mentioned the NCAA, and for all you guys, like a big thing is building a bridge to the NCAA, but I'm not sure our listeners really understand the process that the NCAA oversees championships, obviously, and that's a big part of it. And but they don't make the rules. You know, they enforce the rules. So building that bridge with the NCAA, you know, the Division I Council is going to have a meeting to kind of decide, I think in the middle of September, where we are moving forward. But explain how that process goes, just real quickly, so that people listening understand. Okay, it's easy to just throw darts at the NCAA. And look, I don't agree with some of the things that happen. They're the decision makers that enforce legislation, but they don't create the legislation. Correct?
Sure. And Seth, I coached for 14 years, and I didn't know exactly what was going on at the NCAA, because when you're a coach, you're thinking about your team, you're thinking about your players, you're thinking about your community. But the NCAA is really made up of 3 or 4 sets of people: presidents, commissioners, athletic directors, and FARs, you know, the athletic reps. And the NCAA is really just a facilitator. And I joke with them all the time. I was like, I got to get you guys a better PR firm, because people think that the NCAA, the institution itself, makes these rules and enforces. They enforce the rules, but they don't make the rules. And so part of my job as the executive director of the NABC is helping our coaches understand that, and helping them understand that we have a voice every time we talk to our ADs, every time we talk to our presidents, every time we talk to our conference commissioners, or we are talking to the folks who decide what happens at the NCAA. So, you know, the public, I understand them not understanding that. And as I get more entrenched, you know, I get to see all that's going on. And one more thing before I let go here. the NCAA is also looking at all the other sports. Like you mentioned earlier, like football is a little different, but everything else they're responsible for. So they're not just responsible for Division I men's basketball. They're responsible for all of men's basketball across the divisions, as well as the rest of the sports that are played at the NCAA level.
Sorry, putting that aside, just for you guys, we saw what happened with football, and it's a little bit of a mess in terms of someone's playing, someone's not playing. What do you guys think the best mechanism is or protocol is? We're not doctors. So let's take the medical aspect away from it. What do you think in terms of moving forward? If there are students aren't on campus and we have basically distance learning or online education, why can't we create bubbles? Why can't we create pods? Why can't we continue to move forward? Because we will have, if everyone says we want the greatest welfare and safety for the student athletes, that in essence would create the greatest safety for all athletes. Because let's face it, when guys are under your guys' watch, whether it's medically, whether it's in terms of hygiene, whether in terms of sterilizing, whether it's terms of the bubble that they're in is pretty secure. What's your guys' take on, could college basketball exist with online learning and online classes and distance learning being what it is and students not on campus?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I'll just I'll jump in there first there, Chris. But there's a lot of complications, obviously, that come into play. There's 357 teams, all have different levels of commitment, budgets, locations. Those are the challenges going forward. I think TV packages, I think that's going to become a real issue. How TV is factored in. There's going to be significant costs to doing the bubbles, and if that does occur, and how are we going to pay for it? If the TV revenue, obviously there's not going to be gate revenue. So how is the TV revenue done? Usually leagues control their teams or regions, for that matter. So if we're playing in Dallas, and Chris is in Dallas, the Big 12 will want the revenue or the TV package. Will want to control that. So there are complications. Sure, we're in a unique time and we've got to figure it out, but there are challenges, and there's going to be significant costs because there's going to be men's, there's going to be women's, Division II, Division III. And certain leagues wanted to play in December, some don't, in November. So again, I would do. The thing is, we have some time. Everybody wants an answer today, but we're going to have more information in another 6 weeks, in the middle of September into October. So everybody wants to be the first one to break the story or have the article or have the idea. Every idea has been floated. There's nothing that's revolutionary. We'll have to figure it out when the time comes and the information is present and is as truthful as we can get in a thing that we have no idea and have never been through before. So many challenges, but certainly a lot of speculation. But the bottom line, it's got to be health first for our guys, our players, and I think we have all done that. And these kids want to play. That's the other thing. They want to play. The NFL guys want to play. College football guys want to play. Our guys want to play. And so, that's the thing where we have to, again, err on the side of safety and health.
Chris.
Yeah, I think, Coach, the question is, why couldn't we do a bubble? And my answer is we can. I know, just kind of reading everything the past several months, like we all have, there's been some people that have come out and said you can't do the bubble on a college campus, and I just respectfully disagree. I mean, basically, when the NCAA allowed us to start working with our players in early July here in Lubbock, that's exactly what we did. We created our own bubble. Most of our teams, our guys don't live in normal dorms. Like most of our guys are in private type athletic facilities or apartments, and their roommates or their teammates. And so what we've done here in Lubbock is we basically just created a bubble. We worked for about 4 weeks with our guys under the NCAA rules, and we just made sure that they were making smart decisions, social distancing, mask when they went out in town, avoid large gatherings. In our facility, we kept it as clean as possible. And so one thing that I've been pretty strong on from day one is I do think we can. The NBA is executing this thing to near perfection. I know that's a real positive for those of us in college basketball. Seeing how they continue to execute their basketball, gives us a lot of hope and optimism. But I think you can create bubbles in college athletics. A lot of smart people in our game. I think smart people always are patient when they make decisions, and that's why I've been so kind of proud to be a part of the Big 12 now, because I think that our leaders are being patient with the football, giving us every chance to get those guys on the field. So I remain very optimistic. I think there is going to be college basketball, and I think there'll be some type of bubble system, maybe exactly what the NBA is, but I think it'll be similar in a lot of ways, just my opinion.
Craig, what in the chair you're sitting in now, knowing the chair that these guys are sitting in, and you guys can kind of go back and forth in this, why is there a perception that college athletics and a bubble can't coexist?
Well, I think when people think college athletics, they think about campus, right? And they see what's happening on campus, right? So, and by the way, I both Chris and Jamie and you at the outset said we can play basketball if everybody wears a mask and social distance between now and November. We'll be playing basketball, right? But I think that's part of the reason why people don't think a bubble can happen on campus, because the general population can't be in a bubble and they can't keep from not social distancing and socializing. I think that's the real issue. It's just the number of people that are on a campus. But I hear Chris and I hear Jamie. when you have your team and you sort of you can control this environment for 25-ish types of guys when you take into consideration your players and your staff. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but we've got a blueprint. I mean, the NBA and the WNBA have set a nice little blueprint to follow, and you can try it. And what these guys are doing, what a lot of our membership are doing, is they're trying this on their own campuses, which has given them the confidence to say they feel like they could do it during the season.
I think, guys, I think that you can do it. That really, if teams have good cultures and if teammates hold each other accountable, you're going to find out who has good cultures and who has good teammates. Because if you have a good culture and you have good teammates, then if a guy gets off track, he's going to snatch a dude and someone's going to get that guy back on track. And this is really, to me, when you do create your mini bubbles, it's a challenge. Look, we've seen what happened. What was it? The Cleveland Indians had a couple of pitchers that made bad decisions. We had some other guys. Well, this will be a challenge for all coaches, and I'm sure the messaging has been really, really consistent. But I have enough belief, and Jamie, I know there's 352 Division I teams or whatever there is. That sounds great. Not all of them are going to have the money to coexist in a non-conference schedule. Like, how can you guys schedule non-conference games, even if it's in a bubble, against teams that don't have a similar protocol that you're going to kind of enact? And like, I would ask Jamie and Chris and Craig, one, is the NABC going to try to create a protocol for college basketball, or is each conference going to try to create a protocol of testing and a series of things that have to be in place for a team to schedule another opponent? There's got to be consistency, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what the question's been with the different levels. I was talked a lot about with football early on, the non-conference and who they were going to play, and then they kind of felt like just lining up the conference so they could, have certain standards to live by. Today I'm waiting by the phone to see the results from our test from yesterday. I mean, like that's what we do now. We no positives, so we got that, and we have a half getting tested each week, there's so many different things that we're going through, but. I think as time goes on, maybe the tests become quicker results, and then the cost goes down. So hopefully that's the case going forward, and every team can be involved, and every team will be able to put out what they think is a healthy, and they'll know where their kids stand. So there's still so many questions, but we know at the end of the day, the NCAA needs the NCAA tournament this year. The schools need it. The players, this is their opportunity. They've been playing their whole lives. We're going to do almost anything we can do within safety reasons. I mean, we're gonna err on the side of health, but we're gonna find a way, because as Chris was saying, there's a lot of smart people out there. Our conference included, the Big 12. We've been patient, and we've made good decisions. But everybody knows that the kids want to play more than everybody. Everybody on this call wants it. The kids want to play more, and this is their dream. And it's hard to take dreams away from kids when this could be their last chance.
Can you guys see could you see non-conference pot? Like, when would if you had to say, when would you want to start the season, Chris?
Right, kind of a loaded question, Coach. For me, I'll just keep the traditional one. We're all holding faith. Like, I think a big thing is, testing is getting better. I've seen this with my own eyes. We had our first positive here in Lubbock. I think it was in April. We had core members of our team that never went home, some international guys, some guys that this is their home. So we were one of the first basketball teams. I think I know we were in our league, just talking to my friends in the league like Jamie, but I've seen with my own eyes how things are getting better. I mean, when this first started, you got tested, you had to wait 3 or 4 days for results. Now, we're able to get results back quickly. I know the NBA is using different kinds of tests. So I think time is on our side for college basketball. And I think with each day and with each week, all these smart people around the world that are figuring out these tests and stuff, it's going to help us. But I don't think there's any question that the testing has to continue to get better, quicker, more reliable, for us to start playing college basketball sooner than later.
Craig, do you think that it is, to me, I always look at Thanksgiving and say, why can't we, even if some students are on campus, the week before Thanksgiving, campuses get cleared. Why wouldn't we take that time period between maybe the week before Thanksgiving and before Christmas and begin the season? Because let's face it, the NBA is not going to be playing in December. We're going to have all kinds of television opportunities and windows. You've got a block of time where you can create either mini pods for if you're going to go non-conference, or pods within the conference, which probably is the safest thing, or maybe a couple of smaller exempt events, but the teams have to have the same protocol. What like for the NABC? What are the things they're looking at in terms of starting the season? Do you want to bring it back? Do you want to move it forward? I mean, what's the NABC looking at?
Well, what we would like to do is really be as flexible as we can so that all the possibilities remain on the table for as long as possible. And I know the folks at the NCAA are trying to do the same thing. But Seth, your example is a perfect example, especially this year when we're hearing that a good number of the schools, I don't know if it's a majority yet, but a good number of the schools are planning on not having kids on campus past Thanksgiving. They're going to finish out their year at home and sort of stay home over the winter, which would put the game in a terrific place to try out any or all of those ideas. So, what we're telling our membership is just to, like Chris said, be patient, remain as flexible as you can, and keep the ideas coming, because the more ideas out there, and I'll tell you this, because I'm in the meetings with some of the folks at the NCAA. They're listening. They're thinking every which way from Sunday how they can pull this off at its regular time. And I love the fact that Dan Gavitt, who I spent probably the bulk of, I've spent more time with Dan Gavitt than I have with anybody else in the NCAA in all my years of college basketball. And, he just keeps preaching patience, flexibility, and, keep the ideas coming. We, as Jamie said, we all know we have to play this year. We have to play. We have to have an NCAA tournament this year, and I think everybody's focused on doing that.
What are you guys telling your kids? Because I know players are interesting. I mean, like players, they're sitting there, they're excited to be back on campus. I thought the interesting thing was the Pac-12 guys. One, they made these ultimatums, and next thing after the ultimatums were made and the Pac-12 said we're not playing, now all of a sudden they all want to play, which I thought was almost kind of comical in a way. But like, I know your plays. They're in there right now, Jamie. They're working out. Chris, you guys worked out this summer and they're working out. Colleges all over the country, guys are back on campus. They fulfilled their quarantine. Like I spoke to Cal. I mean, he had his team in quarantine for 14 days. He couldn't even wave to them. He couldn't even go by the practice facility or their lodge. So, but now they're back on campus. Now they're get back into that routine. You know, I've always said players do better in season when they have structure. Now they have that structure back. And that's why I think the online education and distance learning would not even be a factor academically, but they've got to be asking, what kind of questions are they asking you guys?
I mean, you said they want structure, they need structure, they come to school for structure, and they operate better in those situations. You know, I think I just sense from being the kids, for us, our campus opening up this week, we started classes. Granted, most of them are online, which is a completely new thing for us because we didn't even have online courses before. So understand that. But what we have is kids are, I think they're just, we're going a step at a time. They wouldn't be playing games here now. We're doing what we normally would be doing. Stuff, but we're gradually getting there. So I think right now they're just so excited about being back, doing some things normally, working out, getting in the gym with groups, with guys, and they're in a good spot right now. That's what I feel, and where they weren't this summer. But just being around them, being around their buddies, and also having some life on campus too. I think that was a big thing for them. So I feel like our guys they understand. They're just taking it today, and it's really it's the media's job to speculate and have the answers for November in August. So they're just focusing on the task at hand, school and
you're not putting me as a member of the media.
Yeah, okay. I forgot.
Don't make me a member of the media. That'll be that'll be my lowest point.
It's a race to get the answer.
I'm no guru, please. Chris, like, what are your guys thinking? I mean, you've got 8 freshmen?
Got 4 freshmen this year. A redshirt freshman, so 5, and some transfers. But
yeah,
I'll tell you what we're doing, Coach. We just like in all forms of adversity, and this is basically what's going on now, the ultimate adversity with the COVID. I think what you do is simplify, and you get back to your core principles, and cut the fluff and like just get down to business. So with our guys, we talked about it every day we were together this summer, and it'll be the first thing that I say in our first team meeting next week when the guys return is let's just control what we can control. Like in our program, we really don't spend a lot of time talking about officiating because we can't control it. We really don't even spend a lot of time, talking about making shots because in a lot of ways you can't even control that. But what we do concentrate on is playing the game the right way, et cetera. And it's the same thing here. None of us can control when our season is going to start or what's going to happen with the COVID. But what we can control is our day-to-day habits. At this level, Jamie and I are blessed. We're coaching the best players. All these guys have pro NBA aspirations. So really, just because there's some uncertainty with the season doesn't really change their day-to-day process. They're all working towards being the best players they can be. So really during this time of COVID adversity, we just kind of got back to the basics and we're much more process-driven than we are results. We're not really talking about the games, but we never have. We're just talking about trying to win each day.
Craig, you're doing some things that are interesting, getting some feedback from the players. Kind of explain that, what you've put together, the player council, and what you're trying to accomplish with that. And is that a big part of that, trying to get some of the feedback from them to help you deal with the NCAA if we do play again, and kind of open up this conversation?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you're spot on. So what we wanted to do and it's a pilot program, and this is something we're hoping if it takes off, we'll do it throughout Division 1, 2, and 3. But what we've done is we've asked players from from 11 teams, different teams, and some high major guys who are going to be in the NBA. We've got some mid-major guys. We have an Ivy League player on it. And what we're trying to do, Seth, is it's called the Player Development Coalition. And we want to help these guys develop as people. We want to talk about things like, financial literacy and the things that they want to talk about, like picking an agent, things of that nature. But we also want to get from them is feedback on how they see their game evolving and what they would like to see from the NABC and the NCAA. So, we're hoping to get some really valuable feedback from those guys directly to the NCAA and directly to the councils, so that they know what these players are thinking. And we know it's a small sample size. And like I said, if this really works out the way we want, I could see us doing this on a bigger scale and getting more feedback from players, and then helping them develop some too.
One thing, I don't know what Chris and Jamie, what you have, you might have done it, Craig, when you were at Oregon State. I used to do it when they let me do it, but we need to build bridges for these guys. All these guys want to play in a league. The NBA is an exclusive club, and if you can make it, that's great. And then everyone thinks, well, I'll just go overseas. Well, you know what? Not everyone makes it overseas because it's hard. Why can't colleges be allowed, and maybe you are allowed, but we weren't at Virginia Tech, to create basically a bridge, basically create programs where your players get a chance to network and interact with influential alums. That when the ball's taken away, those people can then build bridges for them to have a career outside of their sport. Those guys can open up a door for them and introduce them to people, all right? Because let's face it, life is about relationships. And too many times we get so caught up, and I know every player on both of your guys' teams thinks they're going to play in the league. I mean, by the way, every guy on Division III team thinks he's going to play in the league too. Even those Ivy League guys think they're going to play in the league. All right, but we've got to find a way not only just to teach these guys financial literacy, but we've got to find a way on campuses to allow athletic departments to use the people that they have that exposure to give them opportunities to network. And I used to say intern, but players don't want to intern in the summer, but network and meet and develop relationships, not when they graduated, but before they graduated. So then when that thing's taken away, they can pick up the phone and call a guy and say, you know what, my career's over with. I want to start a new life. I have a family. Can you be my advocate? Do you guys have anything like that on your campuses?
Well, yes, we have a number of opportunities. We have meetings with, we'll have alumni come in and meet with student athletes, job opportunities, with our business. And you kind of talked about in college basketball, these guys want to play, and their dream is to be the NBA, and they want to get there. If they don't make it the first year, they're going to keep trying. And I think one of the challenges we have is our guys have it so good here at Texas Tech, at TCU, with how our players are treated, how they travel, how they're compensated, and they are compensated. That the NBA is the next step, yeah, but getting out into the real world is not as easy as one thinks. And I think our guys, we really try to make a good impression on our guys as how good they do have it playing at this level, playing in the Big 12, and all the things that come with it. And so sometimes that's a very eye-opening what the job market, the real world looks like to our guys at times. And that's something we've got to prepare them for as well.
Chris, you guys have any stuff going on with that? I just think we sometimes we lose track of that. And I just look at when I was at South Florida, we had a great program, and all those guys ended up working for people. Their first few jobs were people that they met through these programs. They wouldn't let us do it at Tech unless they were worried about extra benefits. But I just don't understand. You have this audience that's one of the great things about being an athlete. You have access to people that a regular student doesn't have access to, that you can build real relationships with, whether they become mentors or people that can open up doors. You got, Texas Tech's got big time alums. I mean, is that something you guys mess around with at all? I always wonder why the NCAA doesn't say that this is something we should do.
Yeah, absolutely. We're blessed here. Our athletic director, Kirby Hocutt, was a student athlete himself, big time football player at K-State. So he sees the student athletes lenses a lot. So we've got things not only in the athletic department, mentorships, job searching, resume, guest speakers. We're always talking to our guys about that. And then, of course, in our program, we take a lot of pride in that too. I think one thing specific to our sport, college basketball, that's worth kind of thinking about that might be unique, and many people might not understand this. Almost all of our players go on to play pro basketball. It's very hard to make it to the NBA, but almost every guy we've had here is playing in Europe. And those guys find themselves in a unique kind of lifestyle, Coach, because as you know, they go over and they play for 6 or 7 months. And then when they come home, it's kind of hard to get a full-time job for 4 or 5 months. So one thing we've tried to do is just help guys, because we want them to chase their dream as long as we can. I mean, if I could still play, I would. I'd leave here tomorrow if I could go hoop. So we don't ever want to tell them not to quit playing, but it's like it's kind of hard to come back to the States. You're only here 4 or 5 months, and it's kind of hard to get a job. So we've helped some of our guys find some temporary kind of job where, like, when they do retire one day, maybe it staircases them into something. But that's the thing with our game. I mean, I'd be interested in maybe getting together with other BCS coaches, because that's a niche there. Almost all of our guys go play pro basketball. But it's not like they're making enough money to really, they're not making NBA money. So those 4 or 5 months that they're back home, I think that's something that we could do to help our sport.
I'd say the last thing, just run, and I appreciate you guys taking the time, is, the NBA is starting this NBA Academy. Personally, and I've said this on every show, I don't think they have the resources and the understanding of what it's going to take to do what you need to do to mentor these guys. And I think that too many young people are going to have a mindset of, well, I'm just going to go to the academy. What happens if you're the 8th, 9th, and 10th guy at the academy team and you don't play? All right. And all of a sudden at the end of that year, you're 19 years old. You didn't play. Now all of a sudden you're not drafted. You're 18, 19 years old. Where do you go back to? Craig, I guess for all you guys, what can we do to get and I understand the NBA, look, they're going to try to grow the G League. Just let's be honest. Who knows if there's going to be a G League season this year?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Like these kids are going to this academy. They might not play any games.
And let me tell you something, Seth, you know this, and I know Jamie and Chris know this. The G League is harder than the NBA.
Yeah.
That's a man's league. And those are guys who are they're trying to eat what they kill, right? Because they're trying to get to the league. So I completely agree, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the right answer is. But you have to be elite to be successful at that level. And as you mentioned, I was with the Knicks and I was GM of our G League team, and I would have I counseled the folks at my place, be careful trying to get one of these guys unless they're going to be on their own team, because it's going to be hard to find to find other players who are going to be willing to mentor them.
Yeah, and that's, to me, I mean, like, Jamie, you made a great point. Like, the way you guys travel, the way you guys, like, Chris, I've been at your place. I want to move into Lubbock. I know I'm going to eat. I know I'm going to eat well. I mean, everything. I mean, like, you guys, everything is first class. I said, like, the G League sounds good until bags fly free. It's a different world. And I wonder, is there a way, do we need a better communication between maybe, Craig, the NABC and the league office? Or does the league, let's face it, the league office works for those teams. They're not a shareholder with us. They work for their shareholders. But I think that, are you guys running up against that a little bit in recruiting now?
Certainly. I mean, it's, everybody wants to get to the NBA, and, the G League was as another option, as you said, they may not have a league. So there's 300 jobs that are disappearing here overnight. And if that doesn't occur, and who knows overseas what they're going to, they're certainly going to be paying what they were paying. Well, say, yeah, right. He knows. And so, I mean, it concerns me every day what's going to happen to our guys after they're done playing. It concerns me while they're playing, but also afterwards, you know, and the challenge. You hope you get a great degree, and our guys will get that. But, you know, then you still want to chase the dream. And, you know, that's the challenge. And there's going to be less and less opportunities, it looks like, going forward here. And that's a hard place to put kids in. And then, so, okay, you can't play, then you got to go business opportunities or find an occupation, a field. And those are going to be challenging coming out. So, you know, we're in for a different time going forward here for our guys that are playing, and then, but more importantly, that have finished their eligibility at our schools. And you know, that's why we do it, Coach. I mean, we want to see these guys. I mean, I was texting with Levance Fields here today, Seth. I mean, I was just checking with him, you know, and you know, he's working at a school, and you know, just trying to figure out what he's going to do. So, you know, it's always concerning.
I mean, Chris, you've had guys leave early the last 3 years. I mean, like the G League two-way contracts maybe the two-way contracts will exist, but I mean, is that something you've got to address now that you didn't have to address earlier, even when you're recruiting a great player?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it got personal for us here. A couple of guys in our recruiting class, the freshmen, had that option. You know, my thing is I respect the NBA and the G League and all that. I don't go to that on a day-to-day basis, but I know this because I live it. When college basketball is executed correctly, there's nothing better. I mean, to me, it's the NBA, the EuroLeague, and then college basketball. Al Peekins, who was on our staff for the first couple of years, who's at Florida now, my best friends, he would always sit the guys down on our very first team meetings and just explain to them the resources that they had. You got a strength conditioning coach. When you're a pro one day, you'll pay that guy. You have a nutritionist. When you're a pro one day, you'll pay that man or woman. You've got a great place to live. When you're a pro one day, you'll pay for that. So it's like I've always just been one of these guys that just thinks the college basketball is always going to prevail. You know, we might lose our top couple players here and things change, but in my mind, nothing's going to change the greatest game ever invented, and that's college basketball to me. When executed correctly, it's the best. And I think the players understand this. Like, it's interesting too, Coach. Like we've seen this firsthand. When our NBA guys get a couple of days off, they're coming back here. They want to get in a quick workout with our strength coach. They want to be a part of our practice facility. They want to even jump into our practice from time to time. We have to be careful with that. But so if there's something out there better than college basketball, you know, I've never seen it.
Well put. Well put. Well, I appreciate you guys being part of this. I just think that too many times we talk and we don't talk about solutions. And I think what you said, Chris, I find it all the time. Guys come back to campus and all they like. If you talk to your former players, they say, "Man, I tell you, there was nothing better than the time when I was on campus," and they miss it. And I think the one thing, and I'll close it on this because you guys can't say it. I can say it because I really don't care. I'm not coaching anymore. It pisses me off that when you read certain things from the media that they don't understand how much coaches care about their players, how much they care about their players academically, their health, their mental health, their well-being. You know, we've got to change the narrative that coaches are just using their players to win games. Because let's face it, I mean, really, the most important thing when you recruit a young person is that is a relationship for the rest of their lives. And somehow, some way, that narrative has changed that coaches are greedy, coaches are getting paid all this money, and that coaches basically are using these guys. And I never looked at a player as an employee. I looked at it as a lifetime relationship. And I got in a Twitter fight with somebody the other day, and I said I never, ever, ever put a kid in a situation where I didn't have their well-being, their health, and their well-being at number one priority. And people are coming back, oh, that's not true. And you get all these people. And you know what? It's just not right. And Craig, I just think that we have to do something for the guys in the business now to let people understand how much they love their players, how much they care about their players, not just as players, but as people, as human beings. And that narrative has to change, in my opinion. And I know how much you guys love your guys, and Craig, you did when you were coaching. And I'm really excited, Craig, that the things that you're trying to do, and you know how much respect I have for you, Jamie, and you, Coach Beard. I mean, you guys are so good for the game, so good for young people. So thank you so much for spending a little time with me.
Thank you, guys.
You got it, Seth. Thanks.
All right.